So now guys, let's resume with our discussion. So dito na tayo sa part 2 ng discussion natin, which is the Ladmer system. And as mentioned sa last video natin, we will not dwell on this system or discussion kasi iisa-isahin naman natin sila sa mga later topics natin. Pero ayun, let's have an overview of our Ladmer system. And take note guys kung ano yung meaning ng Ladmer natin. So yung L natin, this is our liberation. Then yung A naman, this is our absorption. Then yung D, this is our distribution. Then yung M naman, this is our metabolism. And our E, this is our excretion. Then together guys, itong metabolism and excretion natin, we refer to this as our elimination. And yung R naman, this is our reabsorption. Kasi may mga drugs tayo guys nga although nasa process na of excretion, marireabsorb kasi they are not hydrophilic enough to be excreted. So may ganun na cases sa excretion natin. So that discussion or concept, i-discuss lang natin sa excretion na discussion or elimination. Sige. So let's take a look at this figure. So in this figure, it just tells us kung ano yung mga discipline related sa ating drug. So when we say drug, yung mga discipline na kailangan natin i-consider are the following. So we have our medicinal chemistry, pharmacodynamics, pharmaceutics, biopharmaceutics, and pharmacokinetics. And in medical chemistry, ang focus nito is ang synthesis, purification, and extraction of drug, especially from biological sources. And I believe na-encounter nyo na yung mga subjects related to medicinal chemistry, which are our chemistry, like OrgMed, OrgChem, InOrgChem. So, yun yung mga medicinal chemistry natin. And I think alam niyo na din kung ano yung mga biological sources ng drugs natin kasi na-discuss na yan sa pharmacognosy rather. And I think na-mention din siya sa OrgMed nyo. Then, we also had some discussions with regards to their extraction then, like in pharmacognosy, kunwari yung distillation natin, percolation, yung mga ganon na processes. Then when talking about drug, we should also consider the pharmacodynamics. And actually, ito na yung heart talaga ng course natin kasi this deals with the activity and side effects of our drug. So in pharmacodynamics, madidiscuss na yung mechanism of action ng ating drug, or again, pabalik-balik na lang yung effect ng drug sa body natin. And ito siya, makakover siya sa pharmacology na subject. Then, when talking about drug, we must also consider the pharmaceutics, which is the analysis of our drugs, or dito din under yung stability studies natin, and yung formulation of dosage forms. So mga example subjects natin dito, we have our DTS, which tackles the different dosage forms of our drugs. Then syempre yung mga drug product natin, di ba kailangan sila i-analyze sa QC1 and QC2 natin, and pwede din na i-study yung stability nila. So all of that is under pharmaceutics. Then we also have pharmacokinetics, which is yung subject natin now, which focuses on the disposition of the drug once it enters our body, or simply its fate in our body. So dito sa pharmacokinetics, ang focus natin is the effect of the body to the drug. And again, ang focus nito is our ADME, or pwede din LADMER, pero mostly ADME talaga. Then now, take a look at the biopharmaceutics sa center. Yung biopharmaceutics natin, diba, it explains how the formulation affects the ADME. So, kung ano yung effect dito, or kung ano yung ginagawa dito sa pharmaceutics, ina-analyze through biopharmaceutics kung ano ang effect niya towards the pharmacokinetics of our drugs. So, ganun siya. So, we can say that biopharmaceutics bridges pharmaceutics and pharmacokinetics. So, for example, we have a drug with low solubility. Then, ang gagawin siyang nanoparticle na formulation to improve its solubility. Ito siya. This is governed by our pharmaceutics. Then next, through our biopharmaceutics naman, we can analyze if ito na formulation easily dissolve ba siya as compared to our other formulation. So, ito yung parang ina-analyze ng biopharmaceutics natin. Then, yung pharmacokinetics naman, pwede natin i-measure yung plasma concentration ng drug from this formulation to describe the absorption of our drug. Then again, basta pharmacokinetics, we are using mathematical na methods to describe the ADME process. So, ganun yung ganun ang connection ng concepts under, or yung mga concepts related to our drug. So, now let's take a look at this term, which is drug disposition. And when we say drug disposition, this is the fate of the drug in the body, and it consists of our absorption, distribution, metabolism, and excretion. And these processes is described by pharmacokinetics, particularly through the mathematical description of the rates of these processes and concentration time relationship. Then ito, pabalik-balik na lang kung ano yung definition ng LADME natin. When we say liberation, this is the release of the drug from its dosage form. Then when we say absorption naman, this is the movement of drug into the bloodstream. Then when we say distribution, this is the passage of the drug from the bloodstream to various parts of the body, particularly the tissues and organs. Then when we say metabolism, this is the change of drug to compounds that are easier to eliminate by enzymes. And lastly, excretion is the elimination of drug from the body through the kidneys or other routes. So just memorize or familiarize yourself with this definition of LADME. So, let's have an overview of each process, guys, now. So, when we say liberation, again, we are referring to the release of drug from its dosage form or from the drug product. Then, take note, guys, basta liberation, ang goal natin is to dissolve the drug in body fluid. So, for example, we have a hard gelatin capsule. Then, ito yung drug product natin, diba? So, inside is our drug substance. Then, dapat, ma-release from our hard gel capsule or hard gelatin capsule yung drug natin, which is usually in powder form. Then after that, yung drug natin dapat ma-dissolve siya into the body fluids. So, ang final product talaga ng liberation natin is yung dissolved drug natin, which is likely in solution form na. Again, sa liberation, take note, our goal is to dissolve our drug in body fluids. Then, our next process is the absorption, and this depends on the route of administration. Once the drug is dissolved in the fluid of the route, it faces different membrane barriers and it's transferred into the fluid blood that will either contain the target or transport it to the target location. Pero what I want you to remember lang when we say absorption, this is the absorption or transfer of our drug into the bloodstream. Basta, again, absorption, yung drug natin pupunta sa bloodstream. And this is usually measured by the bioavailability, guys, or this is represented by the bioavailability. Then, let's take a look at this concept, which is the oral administration. Basta oral administration, guys, ang administration site natin, from the name itself, is the oral na site or our mouth. Then, ang primary absorption site for oral administration is the epithelia of the upper small intestine as well as the stomach. Pero usually talaga, yung small intestine, yung site of absorption natin for oral administration. Then, ang purpose naman ng oral administration natin is for systemic effect. And again, basta systemic effect, ang affected is the whole body, not only the site of administration, or yung affected is the site other than the site of administration. Then, yung mga common dosage forms ng oral administrations are the following. So, we have our tablet, we have our capsule, we also have our solution, we also have our suspension, and emulsion. Then, ang common mechanism of absorption for oral administration is passive diffusion. So, we will not dwell on this concept kasi yung specifics nito sa later topics na natin. Pero lang, para alam nyo, basta passive diffusion, guys, ang drug natin kailangan non-polar or lipophilic para ma-absorb siya kaagad via the passive diffusion na process of absorption or method of absorption. So again, basta passive diffusion, yung mga nag-undergo nito is yung mga drug na non-polar. Then, another thing that I want to emphasize, kaya small intestine, yung site of absorption natin usually, is because yung surface area natin sa small intestine, mataas. So, mas ideal din siya for absorption. Pero yung absorption natin, guys, take note, it is influenced by various factors. So, this may be affected by the pH of the drug and the pH of the environment, the size of the drug, the surface area of the site of absorption, etc. So, ayun, maraming mga factors na kailangan i-consider sa absorption na later on, or sa later topic natin, madi-discuss. Then, let's take a look at this concept, no? So, this is the effect of pH on absorption. So, the less polar, non-ionized form of the drug is the form that can most readily traverse the enterocyte lipid bilayer. So, basically, this says or this states that ang form ng drug na naa-absorb is yung non-ionized na form, which is non-polar. Then, for weak acids, guys, the protonated form is non-ionized. So when we say protonated, ang tatandaan nyo, may present na hydrogen. So as you can see, kunwari ito yung weak acid natin. Then, form siya into these molecules. Then, itong H natin, or hydrogen ion natin, ito yung papasok sa bloodstream natin or maa-absorb sa bloodstream, as you can see here. If makikita nyo, diba may H siya? So, meaning protonated na form ito ng weak acid. Then, for weak base naman, ang protonated form is ionized, which means na hindi siya maa-absorb. Guys, although introduction pa to, no, pero please remember this, na basta ionized na form, hindi siya maa-absorb. More on excretion ito, basta ionized na form ng drug. So again, para ma-absorb yung drug natin, kailangan in non-ionized form siya. And there are various factors for this. And i-elaborate na natin yan sa mga later topics natin. Pero for now, take note, ang maa-absorb na form ng drug is non-ionized. Then yung ionized form naman, hindi siya maa-absorb. And most likely, ma-excrete siya. So, ganun ang concept ng ating pH on absorption. Now, we also have this concept, pero the following concepts, guys, will be about the limitations on absorption, starting with our transporters. Ito, transporters. And itong transporters natin, guys, for this example, P-glycoprotein ang pinag-uusapan natin. Ito, P-glycoprotein. So, si P-glycoprotein, guys, present ito sa small intestine natin and sa liver. And they are a transporter that moves xenobiotics or our drugs back into the lumen to maximize the exposure of xenobiotics to metabolic cell enzymes. So, ang tatandaan nyo dito, basta P-glycoprotein, it induces efflux of our drug. So, from the bloodstream, ibabalik niya yung drug natin to the lumen of our small intestine. Diba, from small intestine, yung drug natin mapupunta sa bloodstream. Basta absorption. Pero, yung P-glycoprotein natin, binabalik niya yung drug natin sa small intestine. So, it limits the absorption of our drug, or it makes the concentration of our drug na present sa blood na mababa. Ginagawa niyang mababa yung concentration of drug present sa bloodstream. Ganun yung parang main idea sa P-glycoprotein natin. Then, aside from that, we also have enzymes na makikita dito sa part in between our small intestine and bloodstream. And if dadaan dyan yung drug natin, there is a high possibility na mababreakdown siya. Kasi meron ng enzyme, di ba basta enzyme, they break down drugs. Basta substrate yung drug natin sa enzyme na yan. So, ang portion of the drug na makakarating talaga sa ating bloodstream is lower than expected, or the actual dose na in-administer natin. Then, aside from that, yung P-glycoprotein natin and enzymes natin, present din siya sa liver. So, doon na papasok yung first pass effect natin na di na lang muna natin i-discuss. Pero ayun, take note na yung drug natin, it may undergo metabolism during the absorption process, na nakakapagpababa ng concentration nila into the bloodstream or bioavailability nila. So, ganun siya. Then, another limitation for absorption is the enterohepatic circulation. Particularly, it can prolong the time that a drug is in the body, or ini-increase nito ang duration of action of our drug. So, when we say enterohepatic, guys, or particularly yung enterohepatic cycling natin, ang mangyayari dito, after the metabolism of our drug in the liver via the first pass effect, the conjugated form of the drug may be secreted into the bile and enter the intestine. Then, in the gut, the bacteria present there can convert it back to its active form, which makes the drug susceptible to reabsorption into the blood through the portal vein. Then, ang result nito is it prolongs the duration of action of our drug kasi instead of being excreted, nare-recycle siya. Then, the transporters involved here is the following. Ito, COATP, or organic anion transporting polypeptide. Then, we also have our UGT, ito, which is our UDP glucuronosyl transferase. Then, basta, main idea, yung enterohepatic circulation natin, it increases the duration of action of our drug, or it prevents the excretion of our drug right after first pass na effect. Then, these are the rate-limiting steps in absorption. We have tablet disintegration. Then, we also have dissolution. We also have gastric emptying and absorption. And the rate of each of these processes will differ. And the step with the slowest rate will be the rate-limiting step that will dictate how quickly a drug will enter the bloodstream. And this rate-limiting steps, guys, we will discuss this one by one sa absorption natin na discussion, pero para lang meron kayong idea or overview. Yung tablet disintegration natin, guys, basta high ang kanyang rate, this also means na high din ang rate ng ating absorption. Then, in terms of dissolution naman, basta mataas yung rate of dissolution, mataas din yung rate of absorption, or marami yung drug na ma-absorb. Then, for gastric emptying naman, guys, when we say gastric emptying, this refers to the movement of our gastric material from the stomach to the small intestine. So, for example, yung gastric emptying time natin is mataas. This means na yung mga materials within our GI, magsistay siya sa stomach for a longer time. Then, di ba, yung site of absorption natin sa small intestine pa. So, ang mangyayari dito, basta mataas yung gastric emptying time or magtatagal yung material natin sa stomach, mababa yung gastric emptying rate. Then, ang mangyayari, ultimately, bababa yung absorption. Kasi hindi kaagad makakarating sa small intestine natin yung drug, which is supposedly will be absorbed sa small intestine. Magsistay lang yung drug natin sa stomach. So, ganun yung parang main concept natin for gastric emptying. Then, another is absorption. Then, basta, these concepts, guys, we will discuss this further sa our later topics. Then we also have the first pass metabolism. This occurs on the first pass of the drug from the intestinal lumen and through the liver before it enters the systemic circulation. And this can significantly limit the amount of active drug that enters the systemic circulation and therefore can significantly limit an oral drug's bioavailability. Basta isipin nyo lang na first pass metabolism is the metabolism prior or together with the absorption. Then, ang mangyayari dito, dinidecrease niya yung amount ng drug na maa-absorb sa bloodstream natin. So, ganun yung first pass metabolism. We will elaborate this one sa later topics natin. Then, our next term is distribution. And in distribution, di ba ang mangyayari from our blood, yung drug natin, mapupunta sa mga tissues and organs. So, yan yung general idea ng distribution. Then, in distribution, guys, this is generally fastest to well-perfused organs such as the liver, kidney, and brain, or yung mga organs natin na maraming veins, kasi this means na marami din ang blood na present sa organs na yun. So, ayun, makakapunta ka agad yung drug natin dyan from the bloodstream. Then, our distribution is lower to other tissues such as the muscle, fat, and skin. Then, a concept related or relevant to our distribution is the plasma protein binding. And ang main idea dito, only the free drug can leave the systemic circulation. So, in our blood, guys, may mga present na proteins and there are drugs na nagbabind sa mga proteins natin. Again, there are drugs na nagbabind sa mga proteins natin na present sa plasma. Now, ang mag-proceed talaga to distribution or madidistribute sa mga tissues natin and organs are drugs na hindi nakabind sa protein. So, itong mga free drugs natin, ito yung madidistribute sa tissue and organs natin. Then, ito din yung papasok sa mga tissues and organs natin kasi maliit lang yung size nila as compared to the combination of our plasma protein and drugs. So, that is one of the rationale why yung free drugs natin ang nadidistribute sa mga tissues or organs natin. So, yan yung parang main idea dito. Then, another is once maubos na yung mga free drug natin or once na-distribute na sila lahat, yung mga drugs na present or nakadikit sa mga proteins natin, maghihiwalay na sila to maintain the equilibrium within our plasma. So, ganun yung concept natin or overview for plasma protein binding. Again, only the free drug can leave the systemic circulation or will be distributed to tissues and organs. Then, another is yung free drug natin, ito na yung nag-i-elicit ng action natin kasi ito lang naman yung makakarating sa mga target sites natin. The next is tissue binding. In here, upon reaching the tissues, drugs can also bind to tissue components such as cell membrane phospholipids and proteins, which along with active transport processes can lead to tissue accumulation of the drug. This tissue-bound drug can act as a drug reservoir that can slowly release the drug and prolong its action. But it can also lead to adverse effects if the drug is toxic to the particular tissue. So, ang main idea lang dito, guys, basta increase yung tissue binding, for a while lang ha, my gosh. Sige, basta mag-increase or mataas yung tissue binding, ang possible na effects are increased duration of action of the drug and or toxicity, kasi hindi kaagad mai-excrete yung drug natin. Again, basta increase yung tissue binding, ang possible effects are increased duration of action and or toxicity, kasi hindi kaagad makakabalik yung drug natin sa bloodstream and therefore ma-release or ma-excrete rather. So, ganun yung tissue binding natin. Then another concept under our distribution or parameter is the apparent volume of distribution, and our volume of distribution is a proportionality factor that relates the total amount of drug in the body to the plasma or blood level, and our volume of distribution is a hypothetical rather than an actual physiological volume, thus the term apparent is used. So ito yung parang formula ng VD natin, that is VD is equal to dose over the plasma drug concentration at time 0. So again, itong nasa numerator natin, this is the amount of drug in the body then itong nasa denominator, this is the plasma drug concentration at time 0. Then, ang implication nito guys is if mataas yung volume of distribution natin or apparent volume of distribution, this means na mataas din yung tissue binding natin or marami yung drugs natin sa tissues instead of the bloodstream. So again, basta mataas yung apparent volume of distribution, this means na mataas yung tissue binding or marami yung drug na present sa tissues natin instead of the bloodstream. So ito, isa-isahin natin yung mga possible implications ng VD, no? So, a drug that is highly protein bound may exhibit a low volume of distribution approximating the plasma volume because of the inability of the protein to pass into the interstitial fluid. So, when we say highly protein bound guys, this means na yung drug natin or ganito na lang, basta mataas yung protein binding or plasma protein binding, this means na mataas yung plasma or drug plasma concentration natin. And this means na mababa yung volume of distribution natin. Kasi instead na ma-distribute sa mga tissues natin yung drug, magsistay sila sa bloodstream kasi nga nakakabit sila sa mga proteins na present sa plasma natin or sa blood natin. Again, basta highly protein yung drug natin, this means na nasa plasma sila nakakoncentrate, and this will further result in a low volume of distribution kasi hindi sila madidistribute into the tissues and organs. Then, next is a drug that has a high interstitial tissue binding will have a relatively low plasma concentration, and therefore, the calculated VD can even exceed the total body water volume. Pero, idea lang natin dito, and actually na-mention ko na basta mataas yung tissue binding, mababa yung plasma concentration kasi yung drug natin, they are concentrated in the tissue instead of the plasma. Then, ultimately, this results in a high volume of distribution kasi yung drug natin, they are mostly distributed to our tissues. So, ganun yung relationship or implications ng volume of distribution natin. Then, another is that drugs with low protein and tissue binding and good ability to penetrate cell membranes will have an intermediate volume of distribution closer to the total body water, a reflection of their ability to distribute the total body water. So, for this one, guys, familiarize yourself lang with the relationship of our tissue binding and volume of distribution and protein binding and volume of distribution. And we will elaborate on that on our later topics. Then our next term is metabolism, and the primary function of this process is to metabolize our drug or make it more suitable for excretion. Then, ang primary location ng metabolism natin is the liver, where our drugs is transformed again into more hydrophilic and therefore more excretable metabolites. Basta main idea, basta metabolism, yung drug natin, especially after use, gagawin silang hydrophilic in form para mas madali silang ma-excrete from the body. And basta hydrophilic, guys, take note, ito na yung ionized natin na form of drug. Then, diba na-mention ko kanina, basta ionized, mai-excrete. And yung mga ionized form natin, they are usually hydrophilic or polar na forms ng mga drugs natin. And ito yung na-excrete. Meanwhile, basta absorption naman, ang form ng drug natin na susceptible to absorption is our non-ionized form or non-polar form or hydrophobic or lipophilic form. So, ganun yung general idea ng absorption and excretion natin with regards to the forms of our drug. Now, let's take a look at our last process, which is the excretion. And renal excretion involves three major processes. We have the glomerular filtration, we have secretion, and reabsorption. So, let's see kung ano yung mga substances na re-retain and na-excrete in each stages of our excretion. So, for filtration, ang nare-retain na form ng drugs are protein-bound drugs. Why? Kasi, diba ba sa filtration, guys, ang nakaka-pass through talaga sa filter is yung mga maliliit na compounds. And, yung mga protein-bound drugs natin, guys, they are big compounds. So, ayun, it's difficult to filter them. So, ayun, nare-retain sila sa ating filtration or glomerular filtration. Then, ang ma-excrete sa glomerular filtration are polar or ionized compounds. And yun na yung sinabi ko na basta polar or ionized or hydrophilic compounds, mas madali sila ma-excrete. Then, in terms of secretion naman, yung mga drugs na pwede i-transport via the OATs and OCTs natin, yun yung mga na-excrete sa secretion. Then lastly, for reabsorption naman, wait lang, weird kaayo siya kahit lain ng table, pero sige, in reabsorption, guys, ay hindi, sakto lang di ay siya. So, let's take a look at this concept. So, yung mga nare-reabsorb na product natin are non-polar and lipophilic na compounds or non-ionized form ng drug natin. So, if we have an acidic drug, guys, and yung urine natin acidic din, ang mafo-form is a non-ionized na form ng drug natin, which is also non-polar and pwede din lipophilic. So, ito na form ng drug, ma-reabsorb siya. Then, if basic naman, yung drug natin, then basic din yung urine, same lang, non-ionized yung product natin dyan. So, ma-reabsorb siya. Then, another retained drugs in reabsorption is the drugs that is susceptible to the uptake of transporters in the PCT or the proximal convoluted tubule. Pero ayun guys, what you have to remember here is basta acidic plus acidic, this will equate to a non-ionized na form of our drug. Then basta basic plus basic, non-ionized then. So like dissolves like baya guys. Basta isipin nyo lang, basta same na acidic and same na basic, non-ionized yung product natin. And basta non-ionized, prone to absorption. Meanwhile, if acidic yung drug natin, then yung urine naman natin is basic, this will result to ionized form of our drug. And basta ionized guys, this is hydrophilic or polar, and therefore mai-excrete siya. Then, if basic drugs naman in acidic urine, same lang sa diniscuss ko above. So, ang product natin dyan is the ionized form of our drug, which is hydrophilic and polar, and ultimately will be excreted. So, isipin nyo lang guys, basta same yung nature ng drug natin and ng urine natin, yung product natin is the non-ionized form of our drug, which is absorbed. So, acidic plus acidic and basic plus basic. Then, if opposite naman yung nature ng drug natin and ng urine natin, ang product natin is ionized form of our drug, which is hydrophilic and polar, and therefore ma-excrete. So, ganun yung parang main idea ng excretion natin, and actually this is also applicable in absorption. Then take note lang as early as now guys of this term, LUNA and HYPE. So basta LUNA, that is our, or this stands for lipophilic unionized or non-ionized, non-polar, then absorb. So basta yung drug form natin is lipophilic, unionized, and non-polar, maa-absorb siya. Then basta HYPE naman, this is our hydrophobic or hydrophilic rather, kasi hydrophobic is the same as lipophilic in general. So this is our hydrophilic, then ionized, then polar, then excreted. So yung drug form natin na hydrophilic, then ionized, then polar, they are excreted. So that's it for our excretion. And again, this is this concept, this is also applicable in our other na processes sa Ladmer, especially sa absorption. Then we also have this parameter, the clearance, which describes the relationship between the rate of drug elimination from the plasma and its plasma concentration. Then, for drugs that are eliminated predominantly by one organ, a reduced capacity of that organ can affect the systemic clearance and would require dosing adjustment. So, ano dito? Just take a look at this formula, then let's see kung ano ba ang meaning ng mga formula na to, or this formula stands for what? So, for this one, itong dose rate, this is the drug given for, or drug given per hour rather. Per hour to maintain desired levels in the body or in the plasma. Then, ito naman, this is the steady state. Plasma concentration. Then, ito, this is our clearance. So basically, this equation tells us that to maintain a constant drug level, the dose rate must be equal to how fast the body clears the drug. And itong clearance, this is the basis of our drug regimen. Again, dapat yung dose rate natin equal siya to how fast the body clears the drug para ma-achieve natin yung steady state or yung required plasma concentration natin na mag-i-elicit ng effect. Then another term is our elimination half-life, and this is the time required for the plasma concentration to decrease by 50%, and this is useful for estimating appropriate dosing intervals and for estimating the time to reach steady state with multiple dosing, which requires about 4 to 5 half-life. So, ito yung formula natin for elimination half-life. So, yung nasa numerator, this is our volume of distribution at steady state. Volume of distribution at steady state. Then, itong nasa denominator, this is our clearance. Then, we will not dwell on this kasi we will encounter this one in our later topics. Pero ayun, take note lang of this concept.